You ready?
Sure.
Thank you.
We can just call the meeting to order now. Start by thanking everyone that's here. And I know that, is it Sean Hines? Is he the captain or chief, I'm sorry, at Green Cove? Okay, well, let's congratulate him. He's not here, so just pass that along. And Ricky Wright, what's your title now? Director of Detention. Welcome. We're really pleased that you're here. I guess first order of business is I need to make a motion for the approval of the minutes that we used on January 31st.
I'll second the motion. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. First order of business, I'd hoped to do the jail tour a few weeks ago. I wasn't. I got snagged into a trial, so I wasn't able to attend. Is anybody on the board, were they able to do the tour? You were? Okay. Would you like to share your experiences on that tour? And what was your impression? Was that the first time you toured the Clay
That was
County?
the first time I've toured the jail, which is surprising that I haven't toured the jail before. But it was very interesting to see the conditions that they have to survive in every day. I mean, it's not the best, it's not ideal. And I think that was part of the reason for the tour, so we could see the shape that it's in. And they're doing an amazing job with what they've got. But it's just clear that it would be good to get a whole new space.
Yeah, was there anything that, I guess that surprised you, was just the condition? What were you
Well, I
expecting?
expected to see that, I really did, but it was worse than I would think, and they were pointing out at least one of the cells that's completely unusable because of, I think it was flood damage or water damage. So, you know, we got spaces they can't even use because of things that are completely out of their control. And, you know, with the way that the county is growing, you know, the needs of the jail are gonna increase, and they just don't have anywhere to go over there. There's nowhere else to build. You can't build up, and that's what they were discussing when we were there because of the infrastructure. There was a spot I remember seeing in the wall where it looked like the floor above, you know, when they built, it's kind of slipped, and it looked like there was a split, I guess, in the wall. It seems kind of structurally unsafe.
The
And
foundation settling?
right, and that's the conditions that they're having to work in because that's what they've been given.
Well,
Oh,
did
she kind of covered
oh,
it.
she covered it? Okay, all right. I know Michael Kennedy is another assistant public defender at our office. And he had an opportunity to do the tour too. Was there anything that you want to add?
I would just second everything that Ms. Hazel said. You know, they're truly making the best they can of the resources they have, but it's very clear that what is currently there.
You good. Thank you. Thank you. No, you got it. This should be.
Perfect.
There you go.
I would just second everything that Ms. Hazel said. It's clear that they're making the best of most of the resources that they have there, but the resources that they have are not enough to address the current issues. I also saw the structural issues where you have different sections of the jail where it had settled and it's on different levels and different planes. It's clear that they've been able to address the issues in the past through maybe patchwork, and that's not available anymore. So I think we definitely need to get them more resources to properly handle the inflow of inmates, inflow of population, but honestly, obviously for the safety of the officers as well.
Sure. And us when we go in there.
And us, absolutely, yeah.
All right. Appreciate that, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Would anyone else have anything to add?
I thought it was very productive to have everybody that was there from different offices like this council is made up of. The public defenders and state attorneys were working on things at the jail with certain clients that they both had. jail staff were able to explain issues, so we worked through some stuff actually there. There was one person in confinement that we worked on, not me personally, but it was, hey, what can we do differently right now to try and come up with a different solution? So that was very positive. Also, it was good for me to lay eyes on the inmate attorney visitation area, because that's of course been complaints that we've gotten, not very many, of people not being able to meet with their clients, and then to see what the jail's done also with the tablets, that's gonna alleviate a bunch of issues. So the public defender's office doesn't have as much of an issue because you have the polycoms, but for private counsel, it looks like the jail is going above and beyond trying to make things work.
Yeah.
Seeing the amount of rooms they had in the old first appearance room, is it perfect? No. But is it workable? Absolutely. So that was very good to see I call them the telephone booths. The old ones were basically a telephone booth too, just in its own hallway. But that was very positive to see. And like I said, the tablet information, that's gonna make things easier. And also hearing what the jail's already ahead of, trying to make sure there's not issues with the tablets moving forward. There's security measures put in place that also protects the defendants, whether they know it or not, from doing something silly. So that was positive to see on the tour as well. And the jail staff, I can personally say, just from my time being over there as a private defense attorney and everything, they're as professional as they always are. And I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for us. They answered any questions we have. Lieutenant Harwood's basically a historian on the jail. But since you weren't there, I can tell you it was, Mr. Kennedy can tell you from your office. I mean, they literally spent as much time as we wanted to with us on everything. So it was very positive. And that's how they are always, anytime I go over there. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was very disappointed not being able to do it. I did an informal tour many years ago, but I didn't get the history lessons. And of course, you know, certain flaws weren't pointed out to me then. It was literally just, hey, this is this place, this is this place. And so I'm disappointed I wasn't able to join you guys.
If you can go over there with him, he can literally point at a wall and tell you this wall was built in 1988. And I'm sure there's other corrections officers that can do it too, but it's literally like, this is when this wall was built to accommodate this expansion, so.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say from the Board of County Commissioners side, I was pulled into something over here, so I wasn't able to go on that tour. I have toured. We are where the rubber meets the road. I would say purely from a financial standpoint, you know, it's easy to criticize the Board of County Commissioners and say they won't fund a new jail. One, nobody wants a new jail in their backyard, so where do you put it? And believe me, Green Cove Springs wants that prime real estate freed up to put business on. So we hear it from both sides. Two, the chief judge wants a new courthouse. And so we have a study going on right now for the courthouse, kind of a plan, a master plan, judicial master plan. I approved Tuesday to put on our next agenda to add an $85,000 study to our judicial master plan, specifically on the jail, by our outside consultants. That this is what they do. I'm pretty impressed with their work so far. I had just a short snippet of a conversation with the consultant who asked me to introduce her to one of the Duval City Council members, and this was her statement, unsolicited. They were about to spend $1 billion on a new jail, and they're making huge mistakes in it. So what that said to me is that she's used to directing finances for the most efficiency. So I think that's a good thing. But basically, probably what we're looking at, based on rough estimates, close to $350 million for both. So about $125 million probably for a courthouse, and the same for a jail, maybe. Those are estimates. To put that in perspective, that's about half the entire county's annual budget. We have about a $700 million annual budget countywide. And so, including all the constitutionals and everything. So it will become about funding sources. We are looking at some innovation. I started asking and about public-private partnerships. I was told I'd rather I'm going to say it here, but I'd rather it kind of be kept off the record, like don't go publicize it, but there is rumor, I was told this week, that the county is going to get an unsolicited jail proposal from a private group that basically would build the jail and then lease it back to the county. That's probably the only way we can afford to do something and then my follow-up question to that was, are they interested in doing that for their courthouse as well? So, and the answer was yes. So they would hold they would do all the upfront spending and hold the bond, hold the note, because the county, we are out of bond space financially. We've looked at that too. So it's not that the BCC doesn't want to address the need. We know there's a need. And then the other thing I think that all of you can do is help us in the public by saying things like that. Like by saying the BCC wants to address the need. They understand the need. It's a financial need, because the challenge is all 5 of us are elected and we have to know our electorate, right? You have to get the votes, and we're only elected by our individual districts, and the majority of Clay County people will never set foot in either of those 2 buildings. And so it's a challenge, right? So they might meet these guys getting a speeding ticket, or somebody breaks in their house or steals something. They may come and take a report, or they have a traffic crash and they get a report. So they may go over to the sheriff's office to pick up a crash report or something like that. So they know they got the men and women in green. They're more likely to have to call 911 to have fire rescue come, especially as they're aging. But very few of them, they might get called for jury duty, but very few of them ever go over. So that's kind of what we're up against. I just kind of wanted to put that out there. It's not that we don't want to meet the need, and it is a need. It's truly a public safety need. One of the main reasons that the BCC exists is for public safety, and so we recognize that. And I have heard some innovative things. I was in Tallahassee this week, and there's a county, and I should have written it down, but anyway, I think it was one of the counties is doing a domestic violence court, how we do drug court and veterans court and those kinds of things. They were doing a domestic violence court for counseling and diversion treatment, and they had said it was really kind of innovative. It wasn't in Florida. I read an article. It was in Michigan. But now I'm remembering, it was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they were seeing, because of their growth in population, they were trying to keep the, not that domestic violence isn't truly tragic, but when something goes wrong in a relationship, can we resolve that for better relationships and keep it all out of the court system? And they were seeing positive results. So, I don't know how innovative we can get, but I know that's the intention of the drug court and the veterans court as well. So,
Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of information.
Sorry about that.
No. I appreciate it. The judicial master plan, I'm familiar with a part of that, and so is Ms. Hazel. And we're really impressed with and encouraged by the architectural firm that was hired to do that work. They were expecting to potentially be retained to do the jail or a new jail plan as well. So that's on the back burner right now. But I think that will end up happening, at least I hope so. But to second your statement about funds, I had a very brief conversation with Speaker Garrison last week, and he's a hometown guy and he knows the need. And I stress the word capital N, need, for a better jail facility, and we all could use the public as well. I understand that Joe Public has a hard time appreciating something that they don't use on a daily basis, you know. We want to buy things that we get to use, you know. And so I understand that reticence from just a general citizen. I hate to say it like that, but I get it. But unfortunately, it's a necessary function of a community. So at least the speaker is very aware of the need, and he said the same thing. He says money. It all comes down to that.
But there's money out there. There's some federal dollars associated with this the immigration bills that have both passed at the state level and the federal level. I had a conversation about it with Melissa Nelson. I am working it behind, you know. I had a conversation with Melissa Nelson about it. Congressman Rutherford, so when I got elected for the first time 4 years ago, I kind of asked about a regional jail. I had a conversation with our sheriff about it. At the time, I looked at it because Representative Payne covered Bradford and Clay County, and Bradford County was really lobbying hard for a new jail. They need one too. And so I said, well, there's prime property over on 301. Nobody lives around. It straddles Bradford and Clay, right there near Baker, like Whitney Manley. Rep. Payne was not at all interested, and so I dropped the conversation. Our sheriff said she would, you know, let's look at options. And so then when I had a conversation with Melissa Nelson about it, I found out that Congressman Rutherford, former Sheriff Rutherford, is also interested in that kind of concept because regional jails, which you have to still, Sheriff Cook explained to me, you have to, initial booking has to be in the county where they're arrested, and so you have to maintain small facilities. But she said we could be very innovative. Well, because the reason that I think people are interested in this kind of concept is one, the not in my backyard, you know, thing, but two is there's federal money for regional jails. So, you know, that's all way down the road. Again, Jacksonville City Council is about to spend $1 billion, so who knows what that will end up looking like. Will that ever really actually come to fruition, although they think it will? I don't know. So I am trying to work it, and I imagine that there are other commissioners that are hopefully having the conversations, but I am having those conversations.
Very nice. Well, at least I think we all have a forward-looking team here. So, well, I guess we should just move on then. If I could bother Chief Arnold to just give us a status update of the jail.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. First off, for those of you that toured the facility, thank you for the kind words. Our guys worked extremely hard to keep it as well off as we possibly can and provide a good living environment for the people being housed there. As far as our counts go, the first quarter average daily population was 392, putting us at 80% of our max population. Now, keep in mind that 492 max number includes 2 dormitories that are converting temporary housing. So if we have to go that far, we have to shut down all multi-purpose rooms and convert those to housing using 4 cots. So just keep that in mind. Our actual true bed capacity is 478. That being said, as of today, we have 396 in-house. 335 of them are males and 61 are females. 84% of our population is in jail for felonies. Only 16% for misdemeanors. Currently, we have 88 sentenced to the Clay County Jail and 20 are sentenced awaiting transportation to the Department of Corrections.
I don't know if you're prepared to answer, but what's the cost, daily cost to house an inmate, average? I know it varies for inmates that have.
It varies. Last time it's just over $100 a day per inmate.
Okay. About right. Okay. I was looking over the statute. It's 951.23, and I saw where it does mandate Florida Department of Corrections to collect this analysis, and it offers technical assistance. What kind of technical assistance do you get from the Department of Corrections? Is it money or nothing? Really? Wow.
We're not receiving anything from the Department of Corrections that I know of.
Okay. Yeah, because it says shall provide, actually it says may provide technical assistance, that may include state reimbursement for renovation and construction. Let's see. Well, last time we were here, I think maybe Taylor Kluger, she's, I can't recall her title, project manager?
Project manager.
Project manager.
And let me just go see if she's there.
Okay.
She sits right here.
Oh, she does? Okay. Hey, her, as well as someone else, I can't recall, brought up that the plans and timeline might have been available for April for the renovation or construction of the jail there. Is that true? Has that been done, accomplished?
So we, I guess a couple times a month, or at least monthly, we meet. And with the new group that's now running the renovations for the jail construction, we stretch the timeline out based on our changes every time we meet. I wasn't at the last meeting. Chief Henry was. So I don't know if you have anything to add about the timeline, that they changed the timeline for our construction.
They did not change the timeline for the meeting. The meeting was a productive meeting. We were talking about some other issues that they're still trying to work out constructionally and, about the air handler and things like that. So the timeline that was set is currently still the one that's pending now. They're working through some, like I say, some other issues. And they were going to talk offline after the meeting we had on Wednesday afternoon to discuss further timelines from that point forward. So, as I say, the last one we had is current at this point. The meeting was good, productive. We're working, like I say, working through some of those issues, and everything seems to be moving on track and moving forward. Nothing to this point has come up catastrophic or anything that would look like it would impede the continuance of moving forward on construction.
That's great. Is the plan still to build, I guess, 74 additional beds on the third floor and 24 on the second?
Those numbers have changed slightly because of the construction and with the Florida Model Jail standards, with the construction standards that we have to meet. There were a couple options that were provided. One of those options, we had to move the wall in for structural security, and by doing so we lost, I want to say it was 4 beds upstairs. I don't think we lost any downstairs, so we're still within that same number, just slightly, just a few numbers off, but yes.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. That's all questions I had. I had a general question about game time. Anybody be willing to explain that a little clearer to me? Are there other incentives that sentenced inmates can earn, or is it just a general game time schedule?
So our general game time schedule is they get what we call state game time, 5 days for every 30 days served. And then once that's taken off of their sentence, that's kind of a guarantee they're going to get that. We provide an additional 5 days of county game time for every 30 days served remaining on their sentence, or participating in the sheriff's work program and on inmate work crews and things like that.
Okay. I imagine you probably get a pretty high cooperation rate there.
We do.
All right. It's amazing how the prospect of freedom will motivate people. Okay. Well, does anyone else have any comments about the current status of the jail?
I just had a question in regards to folks that haven't ice holed once their cases are completely resolved in the county, whether it's felony or misdemeanor with the ICE hold, has our federal side of things, are they moving quickly to get them out of our facility? They're not just sitting and lingering for the full time period that immigration, customs enforcement has to come pick them up. I just want to make sure, because I'm seeing more and more ICE holds
Yes.
on the lower level the lower level misdemeanors, which has always traditionally been where the majority of the ICE holds, I think, come up. So our cases here locally are over very quick, sometimes the morning after their arrest, and I'm told there's ICE hold. I just want to make sure that they're picking up their end and they are moving quickly.
Absolutely. So once our Clay County charges are completed, ICE essentially has 48 hours from that time to come pick them up, and they're usually within the first 24 hours.
Okay.
So they're very efficient.
Has there been sort of an increase in demand with the new administration?
Yes, we have started
Okay.
seeing an increase in influx of
Right
immigration
answer.
agents coming through the back door.
All right.
The news is correct
It's not fake
on
news.
that issue.
Okay. All right, well, if we could just move on to order of business number 5. I understand I'm skipping over 4 because Ms. Pettinger is out on leave and
But on number 4, if I may.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't remember all the details that she said. I didn't have a pen and paper to take notes, but Senator Bradley spoke to us yesterday at Clay Day in Tallahassee, and she has a bill that looks like it's gonna pass, and it's specifically around mental health and in the Department of Corrections and incarcerations. And I don't remember the details about it, but she had some statistics, and the intention is really to keep to keep our jails from being mental hospitals. And those were her words, not my words. So she said, and it has a name attached to it. There's an individual who was in early 20s, a young man who was schizophrenic and so had mental health challenges for a long time, had a very minor, was picked up for something very minor, I don't remember exactly what it was, incarcerated, and family did not get access to him. Family was pushing hard for treatment. He was sentenced and took his own life in the jail. And so she is carrying that, the Department of Corrections is very, she's very passionate about making sure those things. So it probably matters a whole lot more in your day-to-day work. Not that it matters more to you than me, but it matters more in your day-to-day work. So maybe we can find out more for our next meeting, and I'll commit to trying to get a summary or something on that. But I just wanted to mention that Senator Bradley is paying attention, and I think that that's really important. She thinks that applies to a great number of our inmates, that they have some sort of mental health. So.
Yeah, currently, last numbers we got, I don't remember the exact number, but it's over 30% of our inmate population currently incarcerated is suffering from some type of mental health condition that's been diagnosed.
I want to say it was some kind of really intense, trying to get them into treatment, get their medication, right, because I guess that would, and reduce recidiv, I can never say that word, right? That's your
I can't
word.
say it either.
Yeah, okay.
repeated.
The gentleman's name is called the Tristan Murphy Act.
Okay, thank
Tristan
you.
Murphy Act.
Yes.
Okay.
You were there.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you remember any more details than I do?
That's basically it, that he
Okay.
was incarcerated for something very minute, and then family could not, and he ended up taking his own life while he was there. And she believes that he should have been sent to get help for his issue and not just kept there while waiting. His mental illness should have been addressed.
So one of the issues, and the sheriff and I talked about it, I don't know, maybe a month ago now. One of the issues is a lot of the state hospitals are closed down.
Mm-hmm.
So question is, where do you send those individuals who need additional help once they're sentenced? And even the courts having problems finding some place to send those individuals. So maybe this bill will help with that, but that's part of the problem. Most county jails don't rise to that level of treatment. Thus that individual sits there and we try and do something with that person, but it needs to be some place that concentrates on that type of treatment for those individuals.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, that's right. That's the direction she was going, to keep them out of your jails, so that one, that frees up space, you know, for the I guess I shouldn't say the true criminals, but for the, let's treat the source of what maybe is making their life spin out of control and cause some of these crimes.
I think, well, one of the issues that we face in the court system though too is that it takes time, because of the way the laws are set up. We have to have them evaluated. They have to come before the court has to accept the evaluation, and then they have to be, you know, this is pre-sentencing, then they're transported to the state hospital, which also takes time for the state hospital to accept them. So they can just be in the jail for months before they're getting anything that they need, because it takes so long to diagnose them. For instance, the issue we were addressing that day at the jail, he's been rearrested. I'm sure you guys know he's back.
This morning?
And he's for a felony this time, so we can actually get him evaluated. But if he was appointed to the public defender's office, they've got to hire a doctor who has to get them on their schedule. That can take a couple of weeks. You know, and this guy now, is he still having 24-hour? They're having to watch him 24 hours a day at the jail, which is taking up substantial resources, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can say that the resources that we have are steadily dwindling. And when I say resources, I'm speaking of forensic evaluators, people that by law they're the ones that have to evaluate clients. And as those numbers start to diminish, it takes longer for the few forensic examiners that are still willing to come to the jail and evaluate our clients. It takes them longer to get that done. So everything is in a backlog there. My understanding is, I think that Clay Behavioral might have a partnership with Clay County Sheriff's Office. They might respond to calls where
Yes.
Okay.
They do. I can't remember the name of that program, but it is in effect that they respond. They have a team that will respond if the sheriff's office, if the deputy who is in the responding deputy calls for their team to come out and do an evaluation or to do an intervention, which was really what happens. I've seen it in action. I've actually driven by, just by coincidence, a person in, I live in Keystone Heights, so driving south on State Road 21, a deputy was off, there was a person sitting on the side of the road, and they had the Clay Behavioral team there. It's kind of crisis intervention.
Yeah, okay.
And I think they have 3 or 4 on that team. They were at our meeting Tuesday night.
I was looking at you.
I thought you were, I was like,
He's
I
gonna
know
be
that.
able to, he's gonna notice me behind Patty in a minute. I'm Devin True from Clay Behavioral. And we have a mobile response team.
Thank you.
Perfect, I'm sorry. You're okay, I'm so sure. We have a mobile response team that's 24/7 for the community. We respond to calls that come through 988, and we also respond to calls that people can call us directly. We also respond to the calls from the sheriff's deputies, Green Cove Springs, Orange Park, and Clay County Sheriffs. We try to crisis plan with people so that we don't have to send them to the hospital. Normally what happens in our head, because I'm on call this week for mobile response. So if we crisis plan real easily with community members, but if a sheriff's deputy calls me, I'm probably just gonna go just to see what's happening, because normally they've already tried to calm everything down and get everybody situated, and if they can't, then they call us. So our directive is we respond out to wherever the sheriff's deputies is, regardless whether we think it's probably going to be a Baker Act or not. At least one of us, there's 2 of us on call on master's level, and then a licensed clinician. The licensed clinician, who's myself, has to go if there's a probability of a Baker Act. We started one Monday night when the master's level called me. She was talking to me and I was getting dressed. Okay, we're all going. But unfortunately, he took the child to the hospital. But, I mean, so we are available 24, and you will see us on the side of the road, in the parking lot of the Walmart, people's houses. I was at the Orange Park Police Department one night, so just wherever we need to be.
Yeah, Mr. Troop, I appreciate that. That's a dedicated and brave service that you guys offer there. And
Yeah,
I think
and,
the public needs to know it, or be aware of that.
Yeah, and let me just give a shout out to the Sheriff's Department, because when I started doing this years ago, sheriff's deputies were not inclined to be, we just kept them on scene longer. And they were like, we have things to do, we have people that need us. And that idea has changed to now they're like, please come help us. And so we come out there, and what I really enjoy about a sheriff's deputy is that they leave me alone, so because I have to evaluate. But if the level of the voice, I can turn around and find a deputy standing right there, and they've just sort of moved up. I was out on Blanding Boulevard one night with 5 deputies, and all of a sudden they were standing next to me and behind me and in front of me, and I was like, where did y'all come from? Like, okay, because things were getting pretty, you know,
Sure.
somebody had to go to the hospital. But the attitude and the ability to work together just makes things so much easier. I get on scene, and they already have all the questions answered for me. They have all the phone numbers, everything I need, and we can just process this real quick, because I appreciate that somebody, a deputy, has to stay with me. Because they're probably going to transport.
Yeah.
So every once in a while they go, can we go? And I'll be like, you can go, I think we're fine. And then they'll leave us there, but it's been a good partnership.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a natural team.
Yeah,
Those
they've done it.
type of calls.
Like, you know, in the beginning they were like, we don't need any help. And then they were like, oh, wait, we do need help. And it makes things easier on them, because guess what? I fill out the paperwork. They just have to hold it in their hand, as opposed to them doing a Baker Act and they have to fill out all the paperwork, and they actually have more paper than I do. So I think it just, they're like, now you do the paper and we'll just drive. So it's a big plus, I think.
I think so too. And credit to the sheriff's office, because I'm sure you guys have had training over the years in dealing with those types of calls and calls for service.
We have, but those folks are experts. And so we appreciate that, because I know we try to get the program up and running, and Debbie's like, this is gonna work, and it's good to hear that you appreciate what we're doing, because we definitely appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, it's just been such a big change in sort of attitude with the patrol deputies, because this is, somebody can get hurt, and the person that's being evaluated, most likely the deputies can get hurt, and the deputies realize that I can get hurt, and that everyone pays attention to that at all times, and that is a great working relationship for us. We all know that nobody wants to get hurt tonight, because it's always 3 o'clock in the morning in Oakleaf.
True.
Every time I'm on call, I'm going to Oakleaf. I don't know why, but I'm always in Oakleaf, so.
Yeah, it's never during business hours.
No,
It's never
it's not.
convenient.
I mean, I go on call at noon today, nothing will happen all day, but at 10 o'clock tonight or 1 in the morning, it'll be, you know, that's when it gets active. And for me, I'm on call, so I'll be in Oakleaf later, probably be on call. Any other questions I can help you?
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Sure,
I appreciate that. Does anyone else have any comments?
Sure, just for reference, it's Senate Bill 168.
Senate Bill 168.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Kristen Murphy.
SB 168. Okay, we might have an update
Yeah.
on next meeting.
Yeah. We'll know if it got signed, hopefully by the governor by then.
Okay, all right. Very good. Oh, well, moving right along, Ms. Atkinson, would you care to step up and just give us a little brief update on the programs that I believe you may have coined the phrase, if I can find it here. I just want to give you credit. Make them better than they were when they came in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you do that?
By offering them classes and programs. I'm really happy to report, since Orange Park Adult Ed has received the grant, we've had 1 female and 5 males pass their GED, which is remarkable. I have 2 males for right now that just needs one more test to pass their GED. So I'm super excited, and that program has really been growing since Ms. Seiko has taken over that program, so I'm really happy about that. We've also offered them Microsoft certification, and right now to date, we've had 1 female that has passed her certification. 6 males have received their Microsoft certification, and I have 2 males that just need to retest the Excel. So very happy about all of that. That's
Great.
really great news. Now for the bad news. We had talked a couple of times about me receiving a grant for the Vivitrol program through the SUD. I have learned that we did not get the grant, that the working committee thinks that what I was asking for was duplicating services that we already have in the jail. But no one explained to me what those duplications were until I had a meeting with the medical director, Eki Daniels, at the health department. She told me that the confusion was that we currently have a nursing staff and didn't understand why I was asking for a nurse or someone to come into the facility and administer the Vivitrol. I explained to her that the nursing department is extremely short-staffed, and that's why I had asked for a person to come in. And then the other comment was that Clay Behavioral already has a grant to perform services in the jail. And I explained that Clay Behavioral sends 1 person to the jail to teach the substance abuse class. And that what I was asking for was to have a counselor come in to do group counseling and also peer support. No one bothered to call me and ask me for any kind of feedback. No one bothered to call Clay Behavioral for any kind of explanation. So it was kind of heartbreaking to me. But Eki did tell me that the money was still there and that she would speak to a committee on my behalf. So there could be, maybe, possibly getting that. So back to the good news. I know one of you ladies asked me about the job fair and if anyone was hired. So 3 released inmates had interviews, and I think you say it, Veritas in Palatka. One was a welder, and he had asked for $30 an hour, and their budget couldn't afford that, and so he walked away. But they did hire 2 other people. So, which for me, I know that's not as many as I wanted, but sometimes.
But that's 2 people whose lives are changed.
Yes, that's how I have to look at it. So thank you for that. And also, I've placed many people in Recovery Road Sober Living. But of recent, I placed 3 men in Recovery Road, and they're doing extremely well. One of them is being trained to be a house manager, so that's like a really good thing. And they all have jobs, and they're all attending AA and ABDs. So
That's fantastic.
yes.
Those numbers may seem small, but I hope the public realizes those are huge accomplishments. It's hard to get a lot of these people motivated to do those things and to hear success stories. That's what we want to hear. You mentioned something a few meetings ago about a heavy equipment simulator. Every single time I drive past all this construction and I see all those bulldozers, I have a childhood dream. I've always wanted to drive a bulldozer. And so 2-part question, is that still in the works? And if you do get a simulator, can I go over there and play with it?
Okay, so I'm going to answer your second question. I'm going to do you one better.
Okay.
You and I can take a ride to National Trucking, and they'd be more than happy to put you on one.
All right.
Okay. So yes, I still want to get the simulator, very much so. But right now, because of the FCC's ruling with the telephone, the decrease in our revenue, it's just not feasible at this moment. I'm still hoping that someone will work with Valancourt, and hoping that maybe Valancourt would pony up some money to help us with that.
Okay.
And I'm serious, I will take you to National. I'll take anybody who wants to go out there
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
to drive the equipment.
Sounds like a blast.
It is fun.
Yeah.
My advice was going to be don't just go and do it, or else you couldn't find yourself on the other side of those guys.
Get permission.
Kind of hard to pull a bulldozer over.
Maybe.
Surprised they're kind of slow.
Does anyone else have any questions, Ms. Atkinson? No? Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to volunteer that the inmate, the clients that I've spoken to over the years, they adore you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think that concludes business. I wanted to ask if, I've got a couple of proposed dates for future meetings, July 25th. And October 24th. Both should be Fridays, of course. Just kind of put that on everyone's radar and calendar. All right. Guess I can open the floor to any other comments. Anyone has anything they'd like to share, add, or criticize? Okay. Seeing no takers, if there's no other business to discuss, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.